My fiancé really dislikes it when I cling to him. He said the scarf I knitted was ugly, so I threw it straight in the trash. He mocked my cooking, so I never cooked for him again. He said seeing me made him unhappy, so I packed my bags and moved out of our marital home that very night. I made the opposite choices from my past life, step by step distancing myself from him. In my previous life, the daughter of his family's housekeeper jumped to her death on our wedding day. He hated me for it. And we spent a lifetime tormenting each other. In the end, he poisoned me, and I stabbed him to death. In this life, all I want is to stay far away from him and live in peace. What on earth are you making a fuss about? Fu Mingyu asked irritably, rubbing the space between his brows. I'm not making a fuss. It had already been 2 months since she was reborn. For the past 2 months, I've kept my distance from him. Just as Fu Mingyu asked, but he's still not satisfied. Fu Mingyu took a deep breath. Why didn't you come to the bar to pick me up? Didn't you say you didn't want me to bother you? I shot him a look. This person is really strange. They're just biased against me. That's all. No matter what I did, he was never happy about it. Fu Mingyu pointed at me, stammering you, for what felt like ages. Finally, in a fit of anger, he just stormed out and slammed the door. I didn't pay him any mind. The spicy crayfish I ordered just arrived. I happily dug in. Fu Mingyu really doesn't like it when I order takeout, especially this kind of greasy, salty food. I did give up my spicy crayfish habit before, just to please him, but I don't want that anymore. Having faced death once, I've let it all go. Love and hate have faded away. I'm the kind of person who always returns a favor, or a grudge. In our past life, he tormented me, and I tormented him right back. We were even dubbed the pure hatred couple by enthusiastic netizens. The shippers were absolutely obsessed, shipping us to the point of no return. Our CP fan community dominated the top spot on the trending charts for a very long time. Fu Mingyu didn't come home until midnight, reeking of alcohol. I blocked the doorway and pointed with mock seriousness at a sign I'd made. Fu Mingyu and dogs are not allowed inside. The sight instantly sobered him up. He pointed a trembling finger at me, clearly furious. Xiao Meng, what are you trying to say? It means you're not welcome. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. This is the small apartment I bought myself. Not long after my rebirth, I moved out of the marital home our elders had bought for us, all because he said the sight of me made him unhappy. I packed up and left without a moment's hesitation. Then, I went to the Fu family's ancestral home to have a good cry and tell them all about Fu Mingyu's misdeeds. As a result, Fu Mingyu got a sound thrashing from Grandpa Fu. But Fu Mingyu just never learned his lesson. Seeing that I was dead set on not moving back, he simply planted himself in my tiny apartment. His tone softened. Alright, I admit I was too harsh today. I shouldn't have been so hard on you. I stared at him intently. It seems like he really does like me. It was the same in our past life. Whenever he upset me, he would grovel in apology, doing everything to win me over. A slap followed by a sweet date. Back then, I truly believed this was Gu Mingyu's way of loving someone. I thought he was just too young and a bit clueless about how to treat a romantic partner, but it was clear he didn't treat Lin Miao that way. He had always treated Lin Miao with the utmost care and tenderness. I lowered my gaze. When I looked up again, all trace of jest had vanished from my eyes. I said, get lost. Do I need to spell it out for you? Fu Mingyu was mostly sober now. He looked at me, flustered. Okay, I'll go. Please don't be angry. I shoved him out forcefully and slammed the door shut. Through the video doorbell, I could see Gu Mingyu standing outside for a long time before finally leaving. That's when I got a call from Lin Miao. Xiao Meng, is Mingyu with you? Tell him to come home right now. Grandpa is furious. That tone of voice was unmistakably the stance of the lady of the house. How did I not see this in my past life? I took a moment to steady myself. He listens to you more than anyone. Why don't you tell him to go home? I tried calling him, but he's not picking up. I'm worried something's wrong. Oh, so you're here to check up on him, I said with a sneer. Lin Miao, however, seemed deeply humiliated and asked me with a choked voice, Xiao Meng, why are you humiliating me like this? I know I'm not good enough for him. I didn't want to argue with her any longer and simply hung up the call. 2. Lin Miao is the daughter of Gu Mingyu's family's nanny. She had lived in the Fu household since childhood, following her mother, and because I adored sticking close to Fu Mingyu, I often went to the Fu residence to play. Before long, Lin Miao and I became quite close. You could say that when we were kids, Fu Mingyu, Lin Miao, and I were a tight-knit trio. We were practically inseparable, but a friendship between three can be a crowded affair. During their teenage years, since they both lived at the Fu residence, they would ride the same car to and from school. the relationship between Fu Mingyu and Lin Miao grew increasingly close, and I was gradually being left out, but I was always a bit clueless. Back then, I was completely oblivious to the fact that Lin Miao disliked me. I kept seeking her out to hang out every single day. I was even more clueless about her feelings for Fu Mingyu. On top of that, I repeatedly went to Lin Miao for advice on how to pursue Fu Mingyu. It wasn't until Lin Miao jumped from the building, leaving behind a blood-written letter thousands of words long that condemned me. So that's how it is. In Lin Miao's eyes, I'm the one who tore her and Fu Mingyu apart. It turns out she never considered me a friend, and all this time, she saw delivering that love letter to Fu Mingyu for me as a personal humiliation, but she never once told me she had feelings for him. This blood-stained letter all but confirmed my guilt in driving Lin Miao to her death. For many years after, I could still vividly recall Fu Mingyu standing beside Lin Miao's body, his gaze fixed on me with a chilling indifference. He seized me by the throat, hissing, "Xiao Meng, you're a murderer." I jolted awake from the nightmare, my forehead damp with cold sweat. A sudden clap of thunder outside the window left me in a daze. In my past life, I died on a stormy day just like this. Perhaps having been rejected by me too many times lately, Fu Mingyu felt his pride was wounded. After that night, he never came looking for me again. I was quite happy to have some peace and quiet. Seizing the free moment, I made a phone call. "Uncle, I want to call off the engagement." In truth, Uncle and I aren't related by blood. He was the child Grandpa adopted, after my parents passed away unexpectedly. It was my youngest uncle who took care of me and raised me. My youngest uncle had a real head for business. Under his leadership, the Xia family enterprise grew more and more prosperous. In my past life, I never really liked this youngest uncle. Many people have told me that, after all, my little uncle doesn't share the Xia family blood. Handing the Xia family business over to him would be like nurturing a tiger that will one day turn on you. They also said my little uncle is ruthlessly ambitious, a mere adopted son with designs on seizing the Xia family's legacy. Because of all this, I don't like this little uncle either. Throughout the decades of mutual torment with Fu Mingyu after our marriage, he was the only one who ever stood up for me and put Fu Mingyu in his place. When everyone was calling me the murderer who killed Lin Miao, only my uncle told me, "You did nothing wrong, they are the ones who are wrong." As the memories came flooding back, my eyes unexpectedly grew moist. The person on the other end of the phone fell silent. I said it again, "Uncle, I don't want to marry Fu Mingyu anymore." "All right." Uncle's voice was low and raspy, as if he'd just woken up. "Meng, I'll always be on your side. Your happiness is all that matters. If you want to marry him, I'll drag Fu Mingyu to the altar myself. If you don't, no one can force you." Tears welled up in my eyes. "Thank you, Uncle." Meng. "You don't need to thank me. We're family." But somehow, Uncle's tone grew a little forlorn, yet when he heard I was calling off the engagement, he was clearly relieved and happy. My birthday is in just 2 more days. In my past life, on this very birthday, the Fu and Xia families announced my engagement to Fu Mingyu. But this time, things must be different. It's time to sever all ties completely. 3. My birthday celebration was a grand affair. It was held at the Xia family estate. Crystal chandeliers cast a shimmering light, as guests mingled with glasses in hand, their laughter and conversation filling the air. As the guest of honor, I was surrounded by a crowd of people offering their compliments. By the time Fu Mingyu arrived with Lin Miao, the banquet was already in full swing. The moment he entered, all eyes in the room were drawn to him. "Isn't that young Master Fu? What took him so long? Who's the young lady with him? I don't recognize her." "What young lady?" "She's just the housekeeper's daughter." Lin Miao overheard the whispers and shot a defiant glare at the gossips. "So what if she's the housekeeper's daughter? We're all equals here. Who do you think you are to look down on her?" Her words were met with a sudden, heavy silence that fell over the room. Fu Mingyu looked at her with admiration in his eyes, noticing the faint redness at the corner of Lin Miao's eyes. His heart ached, and he gently ruffled her hair. Then, turning to the gossips, he gave them their marching orders. "Get out, you're not welcome here." It was as if he had already become the host of the party, but since I didn't say a word, the bodyguards naturally didn't dare to move, all turning their eyes to me. I stepped forward. "You're here." Fu Mingyu pointed at the girls who had just been frightened pale. "Get them out of here." I didn't respond to him. Instead, I stood amidst the crowd and announced in a clear voice, "Thank you all for coming to my birthday celebration today. A special thanks to young Master Fu for gracing us with his presence." Accompanied by Ms. Lin, my voice was steady and composed. His tone still carried a note of perfectly measured courtesy. The murmurs and whispers that had rippled through the banquet hall gradually subsided. Lin Miao, clutching Fu Mingyu's arm, looked up at me with a stubborn, Resentful tilt of her chin, Fu Mingyu gave Lin Miao's hand a light pat, signaling for her to be patient. He then swept his gaze across the room and said to me, Xiao Meng, these people have been speaking ill of Miao Miao. As the host of this banquet, you owe her an explanation. I maintained my smile the entire time, but inside, I was cursing up a storm. You bastard, making such a disgraceful scene at my birthday party. You'll pay for this when it's over. Young Master Fu makes a fair point. I nodded with a smile. I then signaled to the butler to bring over a flute of champagne. The crystal chandelier's light danced in the wine glass, forcing Fu Mingyu to squint. As your host, I'd dampened the mood. I owe you all an apology. With that, I raised my glass in a toast to the assembled guests and drained it in one go. Fu Mingyu hadn't anticipated I would handle it this way. He was momentarily taken aback. I used to treat him and Lin Miao with the utmost respect, as honored guests. How could I ever allow anyone to speak a single ill word about them? The way I'm handling this now makes it perfectly clear I have no intention of disciplining those gossiping guests. Fu Mingyu tugged at his tie in irritation. What do you mean by that? You call yourself Miao Miao's best friend, yet you just stood by and watched her get bullied. He knew making a scene wasn't right, but he just couldn't swallow his anger. Lin Miao, meanwhile, wore a deeply humiliated expression. I started clapping. Walked up to Lin Miao, and leaned in close to her ear. Best friends, Lin Miao, have you ever really considered me a friend? Lin Miao said nothing, just stared straight at me, but Fu Mingyu couldn't hold back any longer. Don't you pick on her. The three of us grew up together. Of course she sees you as a sister. Friendship is crowded enough with three people, let alone love, I said with pointed meaning, looking up at Fu Mingyu with a smile. 4. Is he really unaware of Lin Miao's feelings for him? In my past life, I didn't know because Lin Miao always made a point of avoiding me. She even seemed quite happy to help me pursue Fu Mingyu. In her blood-written letter, Lin Miao mentioned that she confessed her feelings to Fu Mingyu on her 18th birthday. Fu Mingyu turned her down, citing his engagement to me as the reason. I only found out later that it was precisely because he had rejected Lin Miao that Fu Mingyu always felt guilty towards her. As a result, he would grant her almost any request and showed her considerable favoritism. Fu Mingyu looked at me with a somewhat guilty conscience. Xiao Meng, don't talk nonsense. I didn't press him further on the matter. Instead, my gaze fell on Fu Mingyu's empty hands. Isn't it a bit rude to show up empty-handed when visiting someone's home? As soon as these words were spoken, the room buzzed with murmurs. Fu Mingyu's Adam's apple bobbed. He knew full well how rude this was, but because Lin Miao had a family emergency, he'd gone out first thing to help her deal with it, and he forgot it was my birthday. I realized later, in my rush to get here, I even forgot to bring a gift. Lin Miao retorted shrilly from the side. Xiao Meng, we're all friends here. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? I gave a faint, wry smile and left. Choosing not to argue with them any further, my uncle came to my side, putting on a full show of having my back. I patted my uncle's shoulder lightly. It's fine, I can handle this. Several of the Fu family elders finally arrived, rather belatedly, to show how seriously they took me. Even old Master Fu made an appearance, but old Master Fu's expression had turned rather grim. I knew it. Old Master Fu had already found out about my intention to call off the engagement. Grandfather, you're here. I thought you weren't feeling well. Fu Mingyu approached the old man. How could I not come? If I stayed away any longer, you would have completely shamed the Fu family name. Grandpa Fu didn't mince words, showing up empty-handed to cause a scene at Xiao Meng's birthday party. Do you want everyone to say our Fu family has no manners? I stepped forward at the right moment to support Grandpa Fu. Grandpa, please don't be angry. Mingyu is probably just overwhelmed. I heard a lot of debt collectors showed up at Lin Miao's house this morning. Mingyu must have gone to help her deal with it. My gaze swept over Lin Miao's tightly clenched fist, the smile not reaching my eyes. Old Master Fu was even more displeased. This is preposterous. You should have sent someone else to handle this. Instead, you had to bring along a. The old man caught sight of Lin Miao's deathly pale face and, in the end, couldn't bring himself to finish the sentence. He sighed instead, and produced a brocade box from within his robes. This is the Fu family's birthday gift for you. I, an old man, must apologize on behalf of this unfilial son of mine. Grandfather, you are too kind. How could I truly hold a grudge against Mingyu? We are friends. I accepted the box, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fu Mingyu relax with visible relief. But the look in Grandpa Fu's eyes grew even more complicated. He could certainly hear the distance and formality in my words. Both spoken and unspoken, Grandpa Fu had always valued me most as his future granddaughter-in-law. It seems there's no chance of that now. At that thought, Grandpa Fu shot a glare at Fu Mingyu. He even started looking at Lin Miao with displeasure. It was then that Fu Mingyu finally calmed down. He reached for my hand, just as he always did, but I deftly sidestepped it. I helped Grandpa Fu onto the main stage, and my uncle followed us up, standing there. I caught sight of Fu Mingyu in my peripheral vision, looking at me with excitement. Meanwhile, Lin Miao watched him, biting her lip with a look of dejection and sorrow. Fu Mingyu didn't notice Lin Miao looking at him. At this very moment, his eyes were only on me. He knew today was the day their wedding date would be announced to the public. The girl he'd had a crush on since his first awakening of love was finally going to become his wife, just as he was about to step onto the stage. Grandpa Fu waved his hand, signaling for him not to come up. Then, holding the microphone, "Everyone, I have an announcement to make. I will be calling off my engagement to Fu Mingyu." 5. A wave of shocked murmurs instantly swept through the banquet hall. Fu Mingyu froze in place, the smile on his face solidifying. "Xiao Meng, you can't be serious. I'm not joking. I mean it, I'm not joking in the slightest." Fu Mingyu's eyes widened. "Are you still mad at me?" Lin Miao, clutching her skirt, looked up at me in astonishment. The wild, surging delight in her eyes was almost spilling over. I tilted my head to look at him, laughing heartily. "It's not anger. I just don't have feelings for you anymore." Fu Mingyu staggered back a few steps, his face ashen. No matter how angry I was in the past, I would never have said something like "I don't like him anymore." Fu Mingyu understood better than anyone that I wasn't just saying it in the heat of the moment. "Xiao Meng, why, just last month you were talking about wanting to honeymoon in Norway. How could this?" But as he spoke, his voice suddenly caught in his throat, his gaze fixed on my bare ring finger. That was where the engagement ring he gave me used to be. "Norway, yeah, but not long after I suggested going to Norway for our honeymoon, he went on a trip with Lin Miao. He even had the nerve to call it a last fling before marriage. All his friends told me not to make a big deal out of it. I still remember the way they looked at me with mocking eyes, then put on a show of urging me to be the bigger person. They're just friends. What's there for you to get so worked up about?" Exactly. If there was really something between them, they'd be together by now. Where would that leave you? Aren't you and Lin Miao friends too? Don't you even have that much trust in her? Those memories had gradually faded with the passage of time. Yet upon being reborn and seeing these people again, those long-buried memories resurfaced one by one, just like so many times before. Fu Mingyu's brothers stood behind him one by one, speaking up for him. "Xiao Meng, you've gone too far this time. Yeah, you're still hung up on the fact that Brother Fu and Lin Miao went on that trip to Norway, aren't you? You're being a bit petty about this." My uncle's face turned icy, seeing he was about to lose his temper. I quickly grabbed his hand. I whispered softly into my uncle's ear, "Uncle, I'm grown up now. I can handle these things." My uncle looked at me with a furrowed brow, his expression full of pity and heartache. But in the end, he stepped back behind me. Lin Miao, meanwhile, bit her lips so hard she drew blood and still refused to let go. For the first time, I saw unmistakable envy and overwhelming resentment in her eyes. "Xiao Meng, if you're really keeping score like this, it just proves you've never considered me a friend. You've always looked down on me." Lin Miao had said things like this many times before. In the past, hearing her say such things would always leave me flustered. I was terrified she'd get the wrong idea, and Fu Mingyu would blame me, saying I was throwing my weight around as the Xia family's young mistress. Then he'd take Lin Miao and leave, and the two of them would give me the cold shoulder for days. I was so naive back then. I actually found myself reflecting, wondering if I had done something to hurt Lin Miao. After all, Lin Miao came from a poor family and was a sensitive, insecure child. That's why I was so patient and accommodating with her. From now on, I won't put up with her anymore. "You're right, you don't deserve to be my friend." Those words sent a ripple of shock through the entire room. Even Fu Mingyu, who had been causing a commotion just moments before, fell silent. I continued, "Lin Miao, search your conscience. Have I ever treated you poorly, and how have you treated me in return? You knew full well that Fu Mingyu was my fiancé, yet you confessed your feelings to him and spent time with him without a shred of discretion." 6. I tried hard to force the tears out. "I'm calling off the engagement, and I'm taking the moral high ground while I'm at it. I don't have friends who would scheme so deliberately to come between me and my relationship." Under the harsh glare of the lights, Lin Miao's face was a frightening shade of pale. Fu Mingyu looked at me in a panic, instinctively putting more distance between himself and Lin Miao. "No, you've got it all wrong. Lin Miao and I. But then, Lin Miao suddenly laughed, a smile more twisted and hideous than a sob. "Xiao Meng, did you really think I didn't know you never considered me a friend? You have plenty of money, yet you give me your hand-me-downs and cast-offs, clothes, lipstick, You look down on me from your high horse, tossing me your charity. Isn't it because you look down on me from the very bottom of your heart? A collective gasp rippled through the air. I narrowed my eyes slightly. In truth, all those so-called used clothes and lipsticks were brand new. I had just unwrapped many of them before giving them to Lin Miao. To spare her pride, I would always make an excuse, saying I didn't like them, and casually hand them over. All these years, because of me, Lin Miao has been decked out in designer clothes and jewelry. She would even sell some of these items to cover her living expenses. Wherever she goes, many people mistake her for a wealthy heiress. Fu Mingyu has bought things for her too, but she refused, yet she stubbornly declared she would not accept charity. This only made Fu Mingyu cherish her all the more. I pointed at the necklace around Lin Miao's neck, at the high heels on her feet. If that's how you feel, why didn't you just say no? You take what I offer while cursing me in your heart. Isn't that the height of hypocrisy? As soon as these words were spoken, murmurs rippled through the crowd. Most were saying a girl from a poor family has no loyalty, that I had misjudged her character. Even Gu Mingyu's friends were giving Lin Miao strange looks. They could obviously tell she was always decked out in designer clothes. They assumed Fu Mingyu had bought them for her, or that she'd used her own scholarship money. No one ever suspected I was the one who bought them. Fu Mingyu also gave Lin Miao a once-over, only then noticing the exorbitantly expensive necklace around her neck. If he were the one giving such precious gifts, Lin Miao would undoubtedly refuse them, yet she accepted mine. A pang of complicated emotions churned in Fu Mingyu's heart. I took a step closer to Lin Miao. You claim you don't want handouts. But was that just an act for Fu Mingyu? Otherwise, why the double standard? Lin Miao's eyes darted away, and she stammered, but you clearly said, you said it was yours, that you just didn't like it anymore. I couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle. Ha ha ha, are you still playing dumb? Can't you tell it's new? You've been pretending to be blind for so long, you've even started to believe it yourself. I mercilessly called him out. I looked at Lin Miao with a smile, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Fu Mingyu's Adam's apple bobbing violently. He looked at Lin Miao beside him, deeply hurt. Last month, you said your family member was hospitalized and needed surgery money, so I transferred you 200,000 right away, and you turned around and used it to buy yourself a Patek Philippe. Lin Miao's pupils contracted sharply. She instinctively shielded the Patek Philippe on her wrist, her face a mask of mortification. It was as if Fu Mingyu was seeing Lin Miao for the very first time. His gaze made Lin Miao completely lose her composure. So what? Once it's given to me, it's my money. I'll spend it however I please. Lin Miao, do you have any idea what you're saying? Fu Mingyu finally found his voice. The words gritted out between his teeth. Lin Miao was shaken to her core. She looked around and saw everyone staring at her with contempt. Unable to bear it any longer, she ran out. Ha, Fu Mingyu, you're pathetic, I said with scorn. With that, I turned and walked away. 7. Fu Mingyu tried to step forward and grab me, but my uncle promptly blocked his path. Young Master Fu, we are all prominent figures in the capital. Let's not lose our dignity. My uncle's voice was as cold as ice. Before leaving, I glanced back at the wreckage strewn across the floor. Fu Mingyu remained frozen in his original posture, like a statue carved from stone. As I turned, the glare from the crystal chandelier made my eyes sting. This time, I finally walked out of the hell that had trapped me for a lifetime, and so, the birthday celebration came to an end. The dissolution of the Fu and Xia family's engagement became a huge, sensational affair. It even set the internet ablaze. Was it because a third party got involved? It seems to be related to the nanny's daughter. Romance novels don't lie. The domineering CEO really does fall for the poor girl. I was scrolling through the posts, thoroughly entertained. Suddenly, another trending topic shot up the list. Lin Miao is speaking out under her real name. I'm not the other woman. Someone else is the one using their family's influence to tear us apart. I narrowed my eyes. Lin Miao must be out of her mind. That year, when we were 18, it wasn't just Lin Miao who confessed. Fu Mingyu confessed his feelings to me as well. I only agreed to the arranged marriage because I thought it was mutual. She and Fu Mingyu were never together in the first place. How could I possibly have broken them up? Lin Miao even posted a lengthy, multi-thousand-word essay. It provides a detailed and moving account of her epic love story with Fu Mingyu. If I weren't a party involved, I might have actually believed it. For instance, she claimed that Fu Mingyu often brought her breakfast when they were in school. The truth is, all those breakfasts were made by Fu Mingyu's mother, who was not exactly a skilled cook. It doesn't taste very good. Fu Mingyu couldn't bring himself to turn down his mother's kind gesture, so he brought it to school. Initially, he wanted me to help him finish it. After one taste, I gave him a good thrashing and yelled at Gu Mingyu, asking if he was trying to poison me. Left with no choice, Fu Mingyu had to dump it on Lin Miao. He even had the gall to call it a noble stand against wasting food. I tried to talk some sense into Lin Miao back then, but she accused me of trying to drive a wedge between her and Fu Mingyu. Another example, she claimed Fu Mingyu would drive her to and from school every single day. It was simply because their routes home coincided. Fu Mingyu's mother was kind-hearted and was on good terms with Lin Miao's mother. Naturally, she insisted that Fu Mingyu wait for Lin Miao so they could walk home together. This was because once, when Lin Miao walked home alone, she was nearly harassed by some local troublemakers. The essay also mentioned many instances of Gu Mingyu's clear favoritism towards her. Lin Miao's writing is delicate and sentimental, infused with a young girl's romantic sensibilities. Those words truly made it seem like the two of them were deeply enamored with each other. Sure enough, many netizens were convinced. This made me cry. That young couple is just perfect for each other. Why is that awful woman, Xiao Meng, trying to tear them apart? That's just how it is in their world. Marriages are arranged for profit, with no room for love. I was so frustrated, I could only laugh. Just then, my uncle pushed the door open and came in. Meng Meng, have some fruit. As he spoke, he handed over a plate of fruit. I took it and stuffed my mouth full. My uncle looked at me with a gentle smile. Won't you stay a little longer? You're leaving already. I really should get back. I have a cat to look after. I can't leave my little girl on her own for too long. My uncle let out a sigh. After dinner, just as I was about to head out, my uncle asked me, do you need me to take care of the Lin Miao situation for you? No, it's not a big deal. I had no intention of forcing her to delete the post through extreme measures. Wouldn't that just make me look guilty? The best course of action right now is for Fu Mingyu to come forward and clarify things. That would clear me of the other woman label. 8. When I arrived at the apartment, I saw Fu Mingyu squatting by the door. He hung his head, the light and shadow falling upon him, making him appear all the more forlorn. Hearing the noise, Fu Mingyu looked up, his eyes instantly lighting up. Xiao Meng, you're back. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice cold. I wanted to come find you at the Xia family's old house, but your uncle wouldn't let me in, so I had no choice but to wait for you here. I've also made a statement online clarifying things. You're the one I truly care about, Fu Mingyu explained anxiously. He'd been doing a lot of thinking these past few days. He had indeed gotten too close to Lin Miao, to the point where everyone around them got the wrong idea. After the birthday party, he went out with a few of his buddies to drown their sorrows. After a few rounds of drinks, he asked them, I like Xiao Meng so much, so why does she always get the wrong idea about me and Lin Miao? His brothers all looked puzzled. You like Xiao Meng? I thought you were into Lin Miao. Exactly, with Lin Miao, you're like the perfect, doting boyfriend. You do anything she asks, but with Xiao Meng, you have zero patience. Don't tell me, you actually have feelings for Xiao Meng. A cold sweat broke out on Fu Mingyu's forehead. It never crossed his mind that everyone around him would mistakenly think he had feelings for Lin Miao. And what about me? What did I think? Fu Mingyu could no longer sit still and bolted out of the bar. He felt that if he didn't properly explain himself soon, he would truly lose me. So, Fu Mingyu came looking for me. He had originally intended to give me the cold shoulder for a while longer, at the apartment entrance. Neither Fu Mingyu nor I said another word. The air itself seemed to grow thin. I opened my phone. Just as expected, Fu Mingyu's clarification shot to the top of the trending list. Quite a few of our former classmates also came forward to corroborate the story. Many comments below were saying Lin Miao had a hysterical disorder and urging her to see a doctor. Unable to withstand the cyberbullying, Lin Miao has already deactivated her account. Fu Mingyu suddenly yanked his tie loose in frustration. Xiao Meng, I know I was wrong, and I can make it up to you. A yacht, necklaces, the latest handbags, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. If you're willing to forgive me, I swear I'll cut all ties with Lin Miao forever. I can even send her abroad. I was just about to say something, and then, another person stepped out of the elevator. It was Lin Miao. Lin Miao looked deranged, letting out a piercing laugh. Fu Mingyu, you're such a coward. You clearly have feelings for me, but you're too scared to admit it. Why else would you treat me so well? An eerie silence fell over the room. Fu Mingyu instinctively glanced at me, then roared at Lin Miao. Shut up, when have I ever liked you? Are money and power really that important? Worth throwing away the most genuine feelings we ever had? Lin Miao was heartbroken and furious. Then, she pulled a stack of photos from her bag and flung them in Fu Mingyu's face. Photographs with sharp corners scattered through the air like snowflakes. The one on top was from our high school anniversary celebration. Fu Mingyu draped his school blazer over Lin Miao's shoulders, and they shared a smile, and I was the one who took the picture. I was standing just a few steps away, camera in hand. I considered them close friends and was overjoyed to help capture their special moment. Lin Miao's eyes welled up with tears. In our final year of high school, I just had a minor cold. Who was it that skipped class and stayed with me at home the entire night, back in my freshman year, when that professor gave me a hard time? Who was it that pulled strings all night to save my face and get me a new advisor? You were so good to me. How can you stand there now and say you never had feelings for me? Fu Mingyu's Adam's apple bobbed violently. He stared down at the photos scattered on the floor, his gaze gradually growing distant and vacant. 9. The details of the past surfaced in Fu Mingyu's memory, one by one. Only now did he realize, with a jolt, that his guilt had long since crossed a line without him even noticing. This guilt had warped into a form of favoritism with no bottom line. Fu Mingyu felt his throat go dry, the words he was about to say catching in it. When he looked up at me, his eyes were filled with panic and helplessness. Do you believe me? I've never had any other feelings for her. There's nothing to explain. I crouched down to pick up that photo from the high school reunion. I gave Fu Mingyu a faint, knowing smile. Maybe you don't like anyone at all. You just enjoy the feeling of being needed by someone weaker. Enjoy playing the savior in front of Lin Miao. Fu Mingyu turned deathly pale. No, that's not it. I was just... Lin Miao's breathing grew ragged as she burst into loud, mocking laughter. And what about you, Xiao Meng? Do you think you're so much more virtuous? When you gave me those designer luxuries, weren't you also reveling in the superior feeling of being the lofty savior? So, Lin Miao has hated me from the very beginning. I pressed the photo into Lin Miao's trembling palm. Fu Mingyu and I treated you the same way, both offering you endless charity. Why do you love him, yet despise me? Lin Miao was stunned, unable to speak for a long moment. I closed in, my gaze fixed on her pupils, which had begun to tremble. Perhaps it's because, despite being a woman yourself, you harbor a deep-seated misogyny. The elevator doors suddenly slid open again at that very moment. My uncle stepped out, cradling a bag of cat food. His gaze swept over the chaotic mess on the floor before finally settling on my slightly reddened eyes, his own eyes brimming with a turbulent mix of heartache and fury. Finally, Uncle shifted his focus to Fu Mingyu. Fu Mingyu, did I not make myself clear? I told you to stay away from Meng Meng. Uncle, I'm in love with Meng Meng. I don't want to be apart from her. Fu Mingyu stiffened his neck defiantly. The younger uncle set down the cat food, then drove his fist into Fu Mingyu's face. Lin Miao let out a sharp scream. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, perhaps out of guilt. Fu Mingyu did not fight back. The uncle's blows were brutal, and within moments, Fu Mingyu collapsed to the ground. Lin Miao stood by, weeping as if her heart would break. Stop hitting him, please, stop. Fu Mingyu lay on the ground, his eyes fixed on me like a drowning man clinging to his last sliver of hope. Seeing my indifference, the hope in his eyes shattered, piece by piece. I bent down to pick up the bag of cat food and said to my uncle, who was still hitting him, Uncle, stop, please, stop hitting him. Uncle finally stopped. I couldn't bear to see Fu Mingyu's shattered and desperate expression any longer, nor could I stand to hear Lin Miao's piercing, anguished sobs. The tangled web of love, hate, and resentment spanning 2 lifetimes should have long since scattered with the wind. As I passed by Fu Mingyu, he suddenly grabbed my ankle. His body temperature was so feverishly hot it felt like it could scald me. It hurts. Have Lin Miao take you to the hospital. All medical expenses will be covered by the Xia Group. Fu Mingyu froze completely. To my shock, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood and passed out. Entering the apartment, I crouched in the entryway, watching the kitten eat happily. Meanwhile, the wail of an ambulance siren drifted up from the street below. My uncle stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, sipping his coffee with an air of elegance. Fu Mingyu finally did something right. He issued a statement admitting he was never in a relationship with Lin Miao, and even attached the records of all the money you've transferred to her over the years. I tore open the lid and served the cat its canned food. Oh, really? Let him be. Then, rumor has it that Fu Mingyu was unconscious for 3 whole days. When he came to, he flew into a frenzy, grabbing Lin Miao by the throat and demanding to know why she was still alive. Terrified by Fu Mingyu, Lin Miao had a complete breakdown on the spot, becoming hysterical and threatening to jump off the building. The whole scene was captured by onlookers and posted online. Lin Miao screamed, "If you don't love me, I'd rather die." She hadn't actually intended to jump, but in a moment of carelessness, she toppled over the edge. She didn't die, but was left permanently paralyzed from the waist down, never to walk again. That evening, I received a text message from Fu Mingyu, "Honey, I miss you." 10. I stared at the screen for 3 seconds, utterly shaken to my core. He's back too. I went out to take out the trash. Fu Mingyu was leaning against the car door, his pale fingers still clutching an unlit cigarette. He was still wearing his hospital gown, the collar askew, revealing the freshly scabbed wound on his neck. "Darling." His voice was terribly hoarse. Fu Mingyu staggered over. The light from the street lamp fell across his face. Only then did I see the state he was in. A dark bruise marred the corner of his mouth, and one eye was still swollen and red. An aura of lifelessness seemed to cling to his entire being. I stayed silent, trying to slip past him and leave. Fu Mingyu stumbled forward and lunged to grab my wrist. "It's all coming back to me now. I know everything." He looked down at me, his eyes bloodshot. "It wasn't me who poisoned you in our past life. How could I ever bring myself to kill you? It was Lin Miao's mother. She was the one who wanted you dead. I found out and tried to warn you, but I was too late." My body went rigid, my eyes wide with shock. The heart-stopping scene from my final moments suddenly came into sharp focus. Lin Miao's mother's eerie, triumphant smile from behind the crowd. Fu Mingyu clutching my collapsing form in a frenzy, only for me to stab him. Back then, my mind was hazy from the poison. All I remembered was Fu Mingyu's hatred for me. We tormented each other for decades, and my gut reaction was to blame him. "I'm sorry. If only I had learned to swallow my pride. If only I had been honest with you sooner, you wouldn't have died with that bitterness in your heart." Fu Mingyu's tears fell onto the floor before me. "I love you, my wife, otherwise, why would I have never let you leave in our past life? No matter how fiercely we fought, it's because I loved you, but there were just too many misunderstandings between us. I even started to think, if only Lin Miao had never existed from the start, we wouldn't have ended up like this." Tears streamed down his face, his eyes filled with nothing but pleading and despair. "Later, when you stabbed me, I could have dodged it, but in that moment, I suddenly didn't want anything anymore. I just wanted to leave this world with you." I shook his hand off. "You're ridiculous. So what you're saying is, because I died once, you regret it?" "Huh, yes, I regret it." And at that very moment, Lin Miao's mother came charging around the corner, a kitchen knife raised. Her face was contorted with pure hatred. "You bitch, this is all your fault. My daughter will never walk again. If it weren't for you, she would never have ended up like this." The blade of the cleaver flashed coldly as it came swinging down toward me. Fu Mingyu reacted on pure instinct, spinning around to shield me with his body. The sharp blade plunged into his shoulder blade, and blood instantly welled up. Screams erupted all around. Seizing the chance, I kicked her to the ground. Lin Miao's mother lost her grip, and the cleaver clattered to the floor. The uncle, who had appeared out of nowhere, rushed forward to snatch it. Grappling with Lin Miao's mother, Fu Mingyu also charged in. With the two men working in tandem, Lin Miao's mother was quickly overpowered. The wail of police sirens grew louder, drawing near. The police officer who stepped out of the car quickly restrained Lin Miao's mother. Even then, she was still screaming curses at me at the top of her lungs. Fu Mingyu, as if having spent all his strength, slowly slid to the ground, clutching his wound. Blood dripped from his fingertips onto the ground. "Thank goodness, you're all right this time." My uncle held me tight, his whole body trembling. I whispered to comfort him, "I'm okay. I almost lost you." Uncle let out a huge sigh of relief. In the end, Uncle and I got into the ambulance with Fu Mingyu. Fortunately, the wound wasn't too deep, just a bit of blood loss. We left after the Fu family arrived. As I got home, the wind chime in the entryway suddenly rang out. It carried the warmth of early summer. The little kitten, full from its meal, jumped onto my lap and began grooming itself. Outside the window, the setting sun cast a golden glow. Those feelings of love and hate faded away with the twilight. Uncle was in the kitchen preparing dinner, the very picture of a devoted husband and father. The sunset clouds outside the window were like a painting, and I knew it then. Xia Ming's new life had truly begun. The end. Story 2. 7 years into our marriage, I took our son to the office to wait for my husband to finish work and celebrate our anniversary. As soon as I reached the office door, I heard a woman's voice inside. "Be good and go home first. It's our anniversary today, and I have to go back. Otherwise, she'll get suspicious. Arya Lin is just an orphan and a housewife. Why are you afraid of her?" Risku remained silent. The sound of a cup being heavily set down seeped through the slightly ajar door. Tessu immediately cooed, "Reese, my stomach hurts. I really want you to stay with me." Risku's voice instantly softened with affection. "Of course I'm not afraid of her. She's unemployed with a child now. She wouldn't dare leave even if I told her to." Risku then sneered. "But Hanyu must never know I wronged his mother. Once I'm certain the custody of Hanyu can be mine, I'll file for divorce. Baby, you go back first. I'll come find you tonight. I'll make it up to you. The scene before me struck like a bolt from the blue. I covered my son's mouth to keep him quiet, then turned and quietly led him away. Once home, I called my college best friend to ask her to recommend a nanny for me. Arya, I've been telling you to hire a nanny for ages. Look at you, you've worn yourself out. I'll have our Aunt Wang introduce you to someone reliable, I said to my best friend in a hoarse voice. Ching ching, Reese cheated on me. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. How could that be? Is it a misunderstanding? If even Risku cheats, I really don't believe in love anymore. I saw it with my own eyes. Ching ching, ching ching, he'll be back soon. Help me find a nanny first. And I'll come see you tomorrow, at 5:30. Risku returned home. Happy 7th anniversary, honey. I've reserved a table at your favorite restaurant. Risku hugged me, kissed my forehead gently. Just as usual, I'll go call Hanyu. I quickly walked away, suppressing the urge to push Risku aside. At the dining table, Hanyu wasn't bouncing around excitedly as usual, and I responded coldly as well, but Risku didn't seem to notice. In his eyes, this family was still harmonious and beautiful. He took out a gift, a box containing a rose quartz bracelet. I casually stuffed it into my bag. You don't need to buy me gifts. It didn't cost much, because I didn't want him to ruin his health and also wanted us to save enough money to retire early. I always objected to him buying me expensive gifts. Later, the gifts he bought me rarely exceeded 1,000 yuan. By the way, I want to hire a nanny. I've been feeling increasingly unwell these past 2 years. I needed to discuss it with him. He transfers the household expenses to me monthly, saying the company is still growing and needs funds, so I'd have to make do for now. No problem, I'll transfer an extra 10,000 each month. Risku glanced down at his phone. Honey, sorry, I still have to work overtime later. Risku has been working late every day for over 6 years now. During my pregnancy, when the fetus was unstable and I had spotting twice in a row, I went home to rest. That was when the company was just getting on track. It was indeed an extremely busy period back then. Risku wouldn't come home until after 11 p.m. every day from overtime work, and I had always made it a habit to wait for him to come home before going to sleep. Later, on countless nights when I waited for him, he was secretly having an affair with Tess Su. I can't accompany you and our son home. Take a taxi back. Breaking from my usual understanding demeanor, I stared at him, my heart utterly calm. Honey, it's been so long since you've spent time with us. Can't you even spare a moment for me and our child on our anniversary? The son also went over and clung to Risku's neck. Daddy, you haven't played with me in so long. Just as Risku hugged his son, his phone suddenly lit up, and a message popped up on the screen. You're not going to skip spending time with me just because Arya won't let you leave, are you? The warmth in Risku's eyes vanished as he pushed his son away. Arya, you should be grateful, not complaining. It's because of me that you and our son live comfortably. You should make sure our son understands that too. But I've told you I want to return to the company. It was you who refused to let me go back. My son was born prematurely and had a weak constitution, but by age 5, he had improved significantly. I then expressed my desire to return to the company, but my husband refused, claiming he didn't want me to overexert myself. Looking back now, the real reason was likely his fear that I would discover his affair with Tess Su. What can you even do as a housewife? Risku sneered dismissively. Wasn't the core software of the company developed by me? The company was co-founded by Risku and me. The core program was written by me, and the biggest client was secured by me. Times have changed. Back then, you were an outstanding graduate of Tsinghua University. Now, you're just a stay-at-home wife I've been supporting for 6 years. You should be content with what you have. Risku walked out of the restaurant without looking back. I didn't stop him. Instead, I picked up my phone and replied to a WeChat message. President Fu, I'll be there. See you the day after tomorrow. When I got home, I opened Tess Su's Moments. A photo of a massive gemstone bracelet was captioned, compensation from hubby, you're forgiven. I smiled bitterly in my heart, realizing that the money I saved was being spent by someone else on my behalf. I couldn't bear to let him spend money on gifts for me, yet he wouldn't even blink when buying them for others. We started from scratch, and when Hanyu was born, our family's circumstances were still tough. I couldn't even bring myself to hire a nanny during my postpartum month. Our son was premature and difficult to care for, and from birth till now, I've handled everything myself. He used to worry about my frail health, and despite his busy work schedule, he always made sure I could sleep after night feedings, taking on the burping and soothing himself. I can't figure out how he changed his heart. I really want to ask him why he treated me this way, and I want to file for divorce immediately, but I can't. Risku is right. I'm just a housewife with no income. If I file for divorce now, I won't get custody of my son. Moreover, it's been 6 years since I left the company, and I have no idea how much assets the company currently has. At midnight, I finally heard the sound of the door being opened. Risku did come back, but instead of entering the master bedroom, he went straight into the study. When I woke up in the morning, he was already gone. My best friend is very efficient. Right after dropping her son off at kindergarten and returning home, she brought the nanny over for an interview. After arranging the nanny's work schedule, we headed to the law firm. On the way, my best friend was still sighing about how among all their classmates, Risku was the one she least expected to cheat. After meeting her childhood friend, lawyer Chen, I had a better understanding of the situation. I not only need to understand the company's assets but also try to obtain evidence of Risku's infidelity, although I'm very reluctant. I think I still have to go to the company. My best friend wanted to back me up, but I declined. Not only can she not support me now, but she also has to temporarily hide the fact that I already know about Risku's infidelity. Tessu was startled to see me, then quickly plastered a smile on her face. Arya, what brings you here? Upon seeing Tessu, I still couldn't control my temper. What? Do I need your approval to come to my own company? Tessu gave a scornful smile. Hasn't Arya been gone from the company for a long time, and you're not even a shareholder, are you? The fox's tail is finally showing, or perhaps I was blind. I didn't even notice when Tessu worked as my assistant for half a year back then. I looked straight into her eyes and saw not a trace of fear. You probably don't even know what marital property is. I walked straight into Risku's office without looking back. What are you doing at the company? Risku was also displeased with my presence at the office. I've reflected on what you said yesterday. I feel guilty being supported by you at home, so I'm ready to come back to work and share your burden. Don't go looking for trouble. You know I have no problem supporting you. What's with this affectation? Tessu quickly followed in. Arya, your tea. I stared at the green tea in her hand. I have a sensitive stomach and never drink green tea. Didn't you know that? Tessu immediately looked wronged. Mr. Gu, I was just trying to be kind by pouring tea for my sister. Risku immediately defended Tessu. Arya, if you want something else to drink, just say so. There's no need to be so aggressive. Besides, wasn't Tess hired by you in the first place? And didn't you ask me to look out for her? Why are you giving her a hard time now? I let out a cold laugh. So you do remember I was the one who hired her? She's been my assistant for half a year. How could she not know I never drink green tea? Back then, Tessu didn't meet the company's hiring requirements. When she was turned away, I happened to see tears welling up in her eyes as she walked out. Upon learning she was also an orphan, I was moved by compassion. At first, she knew nothing, and I taught her everything step by step. What an ungrateful wretch. I can't believe she ended up colluding with Risku. Arya, I really didn't mean to. Tessu looked pitifully at Risku, her eyes welling up with tears on command. So this is her usual tactic. I only just realized it now. Alright, Arya Lin, where's your composure? Aren't you afraid the employees will laugh at you? I let out a cold laugh, catching the slight upward curve of Tessu's lips from the corner of my eye. Go back. It's been so long since you've been involved with the company's operations. What could you possibly do? You've probably forgotten how to write code by now. Perhaps realizing his tone was harsh, Risku added another remark. Just take good care of Hanyu at home. I can handle the company. Arya, President Gu is showing his concern for you. I'm so envious. Don't worry. I'll take good care of President Gu and make sure he doesn't overwork himself. Tessu's tone was extremely unpleasant. Only someone as blind and oblivious as Risku wouldn't notice it. I didn't say another word and turned to leave the office, just as I was about to go downstairs. The driver approached and said, Madam, Mr. Gu asked me to drive you home. No need, I drove myself. After stepping out the door, I took out my Bluetooth earbuds and opened the app on my phone. Reese, Arya is bullying me. I don't want to put up with this anymore. You've been wronged, but I spend every night with you. You should be content, but you always leave before midnight. I want you to stay with me, always with me, and not go to her. Tessu, you've crossed the line. I have a son, I've told you. I can't divorce her, except for marriage. I can give you everything else. Get out. Reese, don't be angry. I just love you too much. I won't bring it up again. After a moment of silence, the sound of something falling to the ground came through the phone, followed by unbearable noises. I took off my headphones, unwilling to listen any further, and sent the entire recording to lawyer Chen, unable to enter the company. And with the financial staff I hired during my time there long since replaced by Risku, It's difficult for me to understand the company's asset situation. Thinking about the annual gala of Xingshi Group the next day, I went to the mall to buy a dress and get a beauty treatment. When I arrived at the Xingshi Group annual gala, Tessu was holding on to Risku's arm, toasting with everyone. The two were dressed in matching outfits, basking in the flattery of the crowd. President Gu is young and accomplished. President Fu has repeatedly praised your company's core technology as outstanding in the industry. With a stable system, Mrs. Gu is a perfect match for you. Tessu didn't explain, basking in everyone's flattery. When I appeared, President Fu hurried over to greet me. President Lin, you're truly hard to invite. Only then did Risku notice me. He grabbed my hand and demanded in a low voice, what are you doing here? Noticing my glance at Tessu. He then explained, in this setting, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to overshadow the host, so I didn't elaborate much on Tessa's identity. I ignored the two of them and thanked President Fu for the invitation. Prosperity Group is a listed company and also our firm's largest client, which I secured years ago by leading the negotiation team. Just a few days ago, I learned that President Fu had repeatedly proposed to Risku about collaborating with our company to develop an AI software, with the condition that I personally lead the project. But Risku repeatedly refused for various reasons. Risku and the company's project manager presented the initial results to Xingshi Group multiple times, but Xingshi Group was never satisfied. Mr. Fu had no choice but to contact me directly. Risku disagreed with me joining the company, but perhaps Mr. Fu's opinion could change his mind. But I never expected Risku to disregard the possibility of offending Mr. Fu and losing a major client, slandering and belittling me on the spot. Mr. Fu, Arya Lin hasn't worked on any projects for 6 years. All she's done these past 6 years is raise children and revolve around me. She's just a housewife now. This project requires a 100 million investment from you. I wouldn't dare joke with your money. If you're still not satisfied, I can hire more people. Mr. Fu looked at me with a troubled expression. He probably didn't expect Risku to publicly undermine me either. Whispers began to spread through the crowd. So this is Mrs. Gu, a housewife dares to attend Xingshi Group's gala dinner. No wonder Mr. Gu didn't deny the beauty beside him was his wife. If it were me, I wouldn't want to bring a wife who only knows how to raise kids to the annual party either. Risku ignored my embarrassment and said in front of Mr. Fu, don't joke with Mr. Fu. This is a joke you can't afford. You should leave first. I knew I couldn't prove I still had the ability to develop software. Even my own husband looked down on me, so no matter how much I said, it was useless. I apologized to Mr. Fu. I'm sorry, Mr. Fu. I regret disrupting your company's annual event. I wish your company a successful annual gathering. I'll take my leave now. Risku seemed to want to leave with me, but Tessu held him back. For many days after the Xingshi Group's annual gala, Risku came home much earlier and would sometimes even play with his son, building blocks together. But then, lipstick stains began appearing on his clothes, and love bites started showing on his skin. I pretended not to notice. The time wasn't right yet. I can't go back to work at the company. I need to figure out how to make money first. With a nanny, I have a lot of time every day to get things done. I wrote a small AI program that uses AI to create funny videos, which has gained me a lot of followers. In just 1 month, I gained 1 million followers across all platforms. Some brands came to me, and I started making a profit. On Father's Day, Risku accompanied his son to a parent-child event at kindergarten. On the way back, his son pulled out a piece of lingerie from under the backseat pillow. Mom, what is this? He asked. Risku saw it in the rearview mirror and immediately hit the brakes. Honey, I'll explain everything when we get home. I silently took it from my son's hands and threw it out the window. Hanyu, this is trash, just throw it away. My reaction seemed too calm, and Risku actually looked somewhat displeased. Once home, I asked the nanny to take our son to the playroom. Risku hugged me with deep affection. Honey, I know I made a mistake, but I truly love you. I hope you can forgive me. I pushed him away. Let's get a divorce. Risku seemed not to expect me to mention divorce. Upon hearing it, his expression changed instantly. Arya Lin, I was drunk when I made that mistake. I didn't mean to. I love you so much. What exactly are you trying to pull? How will you survive without me? Our son's tuition alone costs 10,000 a month. The nanny is another 10,000. Could you bear to make our son suffer? Don't be so selfish. I thought I would cry, but to my surprise, I actually laughed. In school, I was the top of my class. We started this business together, and I wrote the core program, and now you're looking down on me. So what? Now you're just a housewife. All the money in this house is earned by me. Take some time to cool off, you're a smart person." With that, Risku walked out without looking back. When the truth came to light, he couldn't even be bothered to keep up the act. Playing the role of a good husband and father at home must have been exhausting for him all this time. Risku's reaction was something I hadn't anticipated, otherwise I wouldn't have had to painfully pretend to be unaware for so long. "It's time to leave." Just as I was about to pack my bags, Tessu sent a WeChat message. "Arya Lin, didn't you always act so high and mighty? Your husband doesn't love you anymore, yet you still cling to the title of Mrs. Gu and refuse to leave. Arya Lin, you're truly shameless. Just living off a man. Do you even know your husband only gives you a monthly allowance? Where do you think the rest of his money goes? Did you like the bracelet for your anniversary? Sis, I picked it out for you myself." A screenshot of a PDD9 free shipping deal was sent over. Just because he went to celebrate his sister's anniversary, he compensated me with a 100,000 yuan bracelet. Oh, she's getting worked up. She's throwing a fit. She couldn't wait for me to leave on my own. I initially intended not to respond. But then I remembered the lawyer mentioning that the recorded voices of that adulterous couple in my evidence might involve privacy issues, potentially affecting its validity. It would be best to supplement it with some additional evidence. So what? He refuses to divorce me. You'll always be the shameless mistress who can't show her face in public, who doesn't know you're playing the game of playing hard to get. Everyone knows your husband is cheating, yet you still can't bear to divorce him. What's so great about you? It's just that you can't support yourself. You're nothing but a caged canary. Risku said he still loves me. We went from campus to society together. I supported him in starting his business, and we have a son. He's just playing around with you. Perhaps the words "playing around" struck a nerve. After a moment of silence, she sent over some explosive material. "Would you like to see where the man who deeply loves you is right now?" A photo of two naked individuals was sent over. "Even on your anniversary, your husband had to sleep with me." Tessu, fearing her bragging wasn't enough, also sent a video of the house. It was a villa, looking even larger than the house we lived in. "This is also Risa's home, and the property is under my name. He comes home with me after work every day." In the neighbor's eyes, I'm the real Mrs. Gu. How could he not love me? Tessu, ha, do you think any of this can hurt me now? Thank you. I forwarded it with satisfaction in one click. Lawyer Chen, is this enough? Ms. Lin, the evidence of infidelity is sufficient. You can also sue Tessu to return the joint marital property. After putting down my phone, I called the nanny over and gave her a few days off. I went to put my son to sleep. Usually, he would fuss and insist on me reading him a picture book before going to bed. But today he was exceptionally well behaved. He held my hand tightly as he fell asleep. Before bed, he hugged me and said, "Mommy, little Tuanzi's mom hasn't come home for a long time. If you have to leave, take me with you. Okay, don't leave me behind." Turns out my 5-year-old understands everything. How could I possibly abandon the child I risked my life to bring into this world? After the child fell asleep, I started packing my bags. I don't care much for dressing up, so I didn't have many belongings. And soon everything was packed. I didn't take much for my son either. We could always buy what we needed later. Taking too little at once might raise Risku's suspicions if he returned and noticed, potentially stopping us from leaving. Before Risku returns, I put the luggage in the car. Soon I realized I was overthinking it. Risku, who always comes home before 12, didn't return today. Lying beside my son, I couldn't fall asleep, until just now. I still thought Risku would try to win me back. All his kindness to me was based on my obedience. How foolish of me to think myself clever, only realizing it now. This man doesn't love me. I just happen to fit all the criteria of his ideal wife. Screw you. I'm afraid you don't really know the real me either. At 6 in the morning, my son woke up before I could call him, placing the divorce agreement on the table. I turned for one last look at our home before leaving with my son. The whole day I was busy changing my son's kindergarten, renting a house, and buying daily necessities. I kept tidying up until evening before finally having some free time. Risku's call finally came through. Seems he just got home. I muted my phone and ignored it. After over a dozen unanswered calls, he finally gave up. Arya Lin, even your tantrums should have limits. I've already told you, I won't divorce you. I'll support you for the rest of your life. What more do you want? I'm giving you 24 hours. If I don't see you by then, I'll freeze your credit card and stop transferring your living expenses. I never imagined this man could stoop to such shameless depths. I had prepared extensively for this day, though at the time it was solely to secure custody rights. Now he can't trouble me even by freezing my card. A month later, Risku called again. I figured he must have received the court summons. This time I answered the call. After all, he's the father of my child and provided me with 6 years of comfortable living. Perhaps I should give him one last chance, of course, not a chance to reconcile, just that maybe I shouldn't completely destroy him. Aria Lynn, you've really grown some nerve, acting all the way to the courthouse. The allowance in your card must be running low. Come back today, and I'll transfer the money to you immediately. I'll also restore your credit card privileges. I covered the receiver. I couldn't bear to listen to such shameless words for another second. Risku, do you still think I can't bear to leave you? Otherwise, you live comfortably at home with good food and drink, while I work to support you and our son. Without me, how would you and our son survive? Don't say I didn't warn you. If you really want a divorce, as a stay-at-home mom, you won't get custody. I sneered inwardly, forcing myself to finish the disgusting words. Did you call just to threaten me again? I answered the phone today to formally tell you that there's no chance for us anymore. If you still have any feelings for me, let's sit down and discuss the divorce. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures, and I'll withdraw the lawsuit. Risku seemed to hear something amusing, letting out a mocking laugh. Aria Lynn, so this is all you're capable of. I'm warning you for the last time. If you come back now, I can still pretend nothing happened. If you insist on going to court and acting recklessly, you will lose both me and our son. As soon as the words were spoken, the phone was hung up. It seems my words angered him. After being the boss for so long, he can't tolerate even a hint of opposition anymore. Then you'd better quit being the boss. At that time, I hadn't realized how much I'd underestimated Risku's unscrupulousness. When the nanny went to pick up Hanyu in the afternoon, the teacher said he had already been picked up by his father. When I went to get Hanyu, I don't know what Risku said to him, but Hanyu refused to come with me. Mom, I want to be with Dad. You can go. Upon hearing Hanyu's words, I finally couldn't hold back anymore, and tears streamed down uncontrollably. Hanyu, didn't you say you wouldn't let Mom leave you behind? If it weren't for Hanyu, why would I have planned so much? Seeking revenge on Risku might bring momentary satisfaction, but what I hate more is my own blindness for failing to see Risku's true nature sooner. After Risku's infidelity, I resisted the urge to leave immediately because I wanted to legally secure custody of Hanyu and obtain enough assets to ensure his well-being. Aria Lynn, you can stay, I said before the trial begins. If you return, I can pretend nothing happened. I'm giving you this chance. No, Mom has to leave. She was the one who abandoned you first. Hanyu's words left me stunned. I wiped away my tears and walked off without looking back. On the day of the court hearing, as soon as I entered the courtroom, I saw Risku and his lawyer already sitting there, brimming with confidence. Seeing me enter, Risku said regretfully, Aria Lynn, you had your chance and didn't take it. Don't regret it later. Lawyer Chen patted me on the shoulder, signaling me to sit down. In the end, I said nothing. Before the hearing, Lawyer Chen had already prepared me mentally. Ms. Lynn, brace yourself. Divorce lawsuits are like this. The person who was once closest to you will stab the cruelest knife into your heart, and as the party involved, they won't speak entirely according to the evidence. They'll distort the truth, and by the end, even convince themselves that they're the wronged party. By the time it reaches court, you might witness the most malicious side of human nature, but please believe me, your evidence is already substantial. Don't let him unsettle you or lose your composure. To secure custody, a mother's display of emotional stability is crucial. Even so, when I later heard the words spoken by attorney Wang, hired by Risku, I couldn't help but tremble. First, there is no emotional breakdown between the parties. After 7 years of marriage, the plaintiff, Aria Lynn, stayed at home to take care of the children, while the defendant, Risku, started from scratch and bore the entire financial burden of the family. Facing immense work pressure, Aria Lynn herself achieved nothing and imposed the pressure on the child. The defendant worked tirelessly from dawn to dusk year-round to support the family, covering the high educational expenses and household costs paid by Aria Lynn. After the son of the plaintiff and defendant, Gu Hanyu, started school, Aria Lynn had nothing to do, leading her to become overly suspicious and paranoid. Her suspicion of the defendant's infidelity stems from her own emotional and mental issues. The alleged affair partner the plaintiff suspects is the defendant's secretary. It is entirely normal for the defendant to maintain contact and a close relationship with the secretary. After the plaintiff repeatedly made unreasonable accusations suspecting the defendant of infidelity, the defendant still expressed that the couple had a deep emotional foundation, having transitioned from campus life to society together, and would not divorce the plaintiff. Second, the plaintiff, without any evidence and disregarding the negative impact on the child, immediately took the child away from home, which already demonstrates the plaintiff's emotional instability. Third, regarding custody, The plaintiff has no source of income and is emotionally unstable, which would adversely affect the child's upbringing. Moreover, the couple's son, Gu Hanyu, has expressed his willingness to live with his father, lawyer Chen, perhaps fearing I might lose my temper outright, patted my arm several times during the process. I truly wanted to jump up and refute them immediately, but that would have played right into their hands. Attorney Chen began presenting evidence, producing office recordings and WeChat chat records sent by Tess Su, which caused Reese Gu and Attorney Wang's expressions to darken slightly. Next, Attorney Chen presented the revenue records from my self-media account, and Reese Gu panicked. He hadn't expected me to have any income. Attorney Wang was still trying to deny our evidence, but the courtroom is no place for sophistry. Our chain of evidence is impeccable. After Reese Gu and Attorney Wang whispered to each other, Attorney Wang addressed the court. Please give full consideration to Gu Hanyu's opinion. Although he is only 5.5 years old, his mental faculties are relatively mature, and he is fully capable of expressing his own views. Gu Hanyu is currently outside the courtroom. He can be brought in to speak for himself. The judge approved Attorney Wang's application. Since birth, Hanyu has never been away from my side, and I truly miss him. After seeing Hanyu, I really wanted to go over and hug him. He's still so young, and I don't know if he'll be scared standing in the courtroom. The judge was about my age and probably had children of her own. She spoke to my son very gently. Little Gu Hanyu, you don't need to be afraid. Auntie just wants to ask you a few questions. You only need to say what you truly think. Unexpectedly, Hanyu showed no trace of fear and replied to the judge, okay, Auntie, go ahead and ask. If your dad and mom separate, would you want to live with your dad or your mom, and why? No matter who you live with, the other party can still come to see you. Reese Gu looked at me smugly, knowing full well that what I cared about most was our son. Controlling our son meant controlling me. Hanyu glanced at Reese Gu, then at me. Before speaking to the judge, I want to be with mom. Reese Gu's eyes showed disbelief. I wasn't surprised. I had known this outcome all along. Hanyu would never say those words that day. He's my son, and I've taught him since childhood to distinguish right from wrong, even if he didn't want to be separated from his dad. He wouldn't say to make me leave. Not long after I left that day, I received a voice message from Hanyu sent through his watch. Mom, don't be sad. I'll come find you soon. Hanyu looked at Reese Gu and said, I'm sorry, Dad, even though you have more money, and even though you said you'd leave me your properties abroad, I don't want that much money. You and Mom weren't even divorced yet when Aunt Sue started coming to our house. She was so harsh to me, and I'm afraid she'll treat me badly in the future. Mom only has me. I can't leave her. You should just let Aunt Sue stay with you. Reese Gu's face immediately darkened, and he began to rant hysterically. Your Honor, you can't take a child's words seriously. Hanyu, tell me, who taught you to say that? The judge banged the gavel heavily to silence him. Attorney Chen seized the moment to submit the pre-prepared application for investigation and evidence collection. Your Honor, as the defendant is suspected of transferring marital joint property, the plaintiff requests to examine the bank transaction records of the defendant's personal accounts and those under the defendant's company name. As expected, the judge approved our application. Reese Gu slumped in his chair, his eyes completely devoid of light. One after the recess, Reese Gu stopped me and our son, but this time without any arrogance. Arya, we've been together for 10 years. How many decades does a person have in their life? Even marriages face the 7-year itch. But I truly love only you. I just asked Tess Su to come home to help take care of Hanyu. I never intended to divorce you. I only transferred assets and spoke ill of you to make sure you wouldn't get custody of Hanyu and give up on divorcing me. Arya, I could never divorce you. I may have made some mistakes, but my feelings for you have never changed. I promise you, I'll fire Tess Su right now. I'll never have any contact with her again. I hadn't had a chance to speak when lawyer Chen, who was about to leave, turned around upon hearing the scumbag's words. Reese Gu, I didn't want to get involved in matters unrelated to the law, but you've gone too far. I've seen too many divorcing couples who came together for various reasons, but when they end up hurling vicious words in court, it all boils down to one reason: they no longer love each other. If you loved her, how could you bear to attack her with such language in court? Have you ever considered how much damage that causes? This isn't just a domestic quarrel, it's like stripping naked for others to see. If you weren't at a disadvantage right now, would you even come to apologize? I understand Attorney Chen's good intentions. When he first took on the case, he helped me clarify my true thoughts. He said he'd seen too many women who wanted divorce but ultimately hesitated, wavered, and chose to endure grievances for the sake of peace. He said he didn't think this choice was right. He said if divorce was for happiness, then he supported it. Otherwise, he would feel his case wasn't successful. When signing the representation agreement, Lawyer Chen said to me, "Ms. Lin, you have the ability to shine on your own, you deserve better." I gratefully said to Lawyer Chen, "Thank you, Lawyer Chen. I have a few words I'd like to say to him alone. Could you please take my son to the car first?" I said to Risku. 10 years is a long time, but it's worth it to truly see someone's character over a decade, Risku. From the very beginning, you chose to try every means to control me, even when it was your mistake. You chose to make things difficult for me rather than yourself. Now that you can't control me anymore, you suddenly want to make amends, even if it wasn't Lawyer Chen who spoke today. Do you really think there's any chance I would reconcile with you? After 10 years together, can we at least part on good terms? Our son is waiting for me. I turned to leave. Arya, Risku grabbed my hand. I turned and stood still, casting one last glance at him, shifting my gaze from his figure to the hand that held me, resolute and unwavering. Risku murmured softly, "Gone, everything is gone." In the end, the hand let go. One after obtaining the evidence, Lawyer Chen notified me immediately. Unexpected surprise. The transaction records not only contain evidence of purchasing overseas real estate, but also every penny Risku spent on Tasu, Lawyer Chen said over the phone, "Ms. Lin. The money transferred from Risku's account to Tasu can be directly reclaimed in your name as joint marital property. The villa under her name was paid for by the company account, so it needs to be sued in the company's name. If the company cannot provide a seal, it might be a bit troublesome. Since you are not a registered shareholder of the company, you also cannot file a shareholder derivative lawsuit. Of course, it's not entirely without a solution, but it may have to wait until the division of joint marital property is completed before it can be addressed." Attorney Chen also mentioned that Risku embezzled company funds, which involves criminal liability, and I could pursue legal action. I have no intention of pursuing criminal charges against Risku. It's not that I still have feelings for him. After all, he is my son's father, and I don't want my son's father to have a criminal record. At the next court hearing, neither Risku nor Lawyer Wang appeared. Just before the hearing was about to begin, the company's financial director Li Ping arrived with a new lawyer. Li Ping explained to the judge that after the previous hearing, Risku was dissatisfied with Lawyer Wang's behavior of slandering me in court. They had an argument afterward, which ended with Risku beating Lawyer Wang so severely that he was hospitalized. Risku is currently under administrative detention for public security violations and won't be released until tomorrow, so he couldn't attend today's court session. Risku has authorized Attorney Zhang to continue representing the case. Attorney Zhang stated that Risku acknowledges all the evidence obtained by the court and voluntarily relinquishes custody rights and all marital joint property. After the court session, Li Ping handed the company seal to me, saying it was arranged by Risku. President Lin, President Gu said he would transfer the company's shareholders and legal representative to you after he is released. Also, we've already fired Tess Su as per Director Gu's request. I hadn't expected this outcome. With the company seal in hand, the next step is to settle accounts with Tess Su. Thanks to the ample evidence, Lawyer Chen handled it quite smoothly. Of course, I no longer care about what happens next. After all, I still have to keep living. Once, I warmed a frozen snake with my burning chest, only to be bitten by it. I was deeply hurt, but fortunately, heaven has eyes. I have the power to punish the snake. The pain I endured might make me wary of being kind to strangers, but I believe one day I will learn to accept others again, because what this incident taught me was not to shut myself away, but to strengthen myself and always maintain the ability to stand my ground. After receiving the verdict, Risku did not appeal. Risku was found guilty of infidelity and transferring marital assets, and voluntarily relinquished the shared property, resulting in my complete victory in the case. Risku directly sold his overseas property and transferred the money to my account. Everything settled down. I smoothly returned to the company and embarked on a new career. With my capabilities, I convinced Mr. Fu and took the lead in the development of the AI project for both parties. During the project's launch event, which felt like an industry gala, my self-media account live-streamed the entire proceedings. I stood on stage, shining brightly. Just as I was about to cut the ribbon with President Fu, a scream erupted from the crowd. Tess Su rushed forward, shouting, "Arya Lin, why are you trying to destroy me?" I turned around, only to see Risku collapse with a knife in his chest. The security guard subdued Tess Su, who continued to scream, "Risku, you played me. Even now, you're still protecting her. I've been with you for 5 years, and you've left me with nothing. You even sent a blacklist letter to all our peers. If you won't let me have it easy, none of you will either." The scene was chaotic. I held Risku's head as tears fell. Why did you do this, Arya? You still love me, don't you? I just want you to stay with me forever. My mother had money, more capable than my father, and she left me and Dad. I thought if she didn't have money, she wouldn't have left us. I don't dare give you money. I don't dare list your name as a shareholder. I'm afraid you'll leave me like my mother did, Arya. Do you remember what I said when I proposed to you at graduation? I wanted to spend my whole life with you. I wanted us to still be holding each other's arms, walking down the street together even when our hair turned gray. Everything I said was true. Every word of it. I was wrong. I'll give my life to make it up to you. Risku finally